Well, hello everybody. I'm going to do this live. It's a major live. It's very important. I call it the new book of Revelations, and what's occurring in the world today, especially with what a lot of people call New World Order. And we had some major recent developments. The Prime Minister of the Netherlands has quit. Packed her in, called her a day over illegal migration and immigration strategies for the Kingdom of Netherlands moving forward. And a lot of people have it wrong, especially a lot of what are classified as alt-right groups. They have it completely wrong. They think this is some kind of release or end of all what is the evil of what they call the UN and the NWO, New World Order. And I'm going to tell everybody secret knowledge that I've spent 5 years of my life going through every major university the world over, in most of the world countries, in most of their highest academic institutions. And with that comes a treasure trove, a library I've been creating of thousands and thousands of papers, research papers done by the greatest minds in the world, mostly legal, mostly history, mostly in the realm of political science. But folks, there's many more papers. And as I find out, as this great new world for myself has opened up, and new knowledge and critical works done by so many doctorates the world over, is that you find when you start going through what is made available to you, like myself, if you know a doctorate who has these publications and papers, you need to gain access to the vaults of knowledge. This is knowledge done by the greatest minds in their fields, and often, folks, you don't get that access. You have to register with the institution. And in order to get access to those reports, those records, those doctorate field studies and papers, you need to be a doctorate yourself. Now, I am highly fortunate during COVID-19 and my political works that a number of doctorates took an interest in me and the things that I have done in my life. And it opened me up to that world. But again, the massive knowledge that I've gotten, the records I've gotten made available to me by these doctorates, is not, and I repeat, not made publicly available to the general population. And more than that, you need a designation to get those research studies and papers. You need them when you get into real history. And I want to take a step back. When I did residential school genocide, as I've been going through colonialism like nobody else in my lot in life. And what I mean by that is average folks who don't hold a doctorate in specific studies will never ever read or learn anything about the massive investigation studies, reports, and high academic papers written that are accurate, honest, and vigilant, and have gone through the real history. Most of us will never be allowed to read it. Most of these papers I wouldn't even have in my possession had I not gone through the source doctorate to get it. And it was their sheer kindness to give it to you. And even when you get those papers, and they reference so many at the end of every paper, they show you, as they put attachments, numerical sequenced, they attach references in all their papers saying, this is where I got this particular information. You'll find when you go to pull the paper, it sends you to an academic institution the world over, and then you find out, sure, you can have it, but you need to register your doctorate. You have to have a key, so to speak, to get that. So for as much as I have that the general population doesn't have, there's much more I'll never get. And I'm going to take us in time after the Northwest Rebellion of Alberta and the horrific atrocities committed by the Canadian government. up to that point, including that point and after. I'm going to take us on a journey. I have 15 papers in the entire world on colonial Germany that I hold that goes into one side of looking at things, and that side, very limited world over, is the side of what was a Jewish German and what was their role and responsibility in Southwest Africa, known as West Africa today, known as South Africa that would become the apartheid it became and go through everything into the 90s. And specifically, we're talking about the end of 1884 going into 1885, all the way up to the conclusion of World War I. What were Jewish Germans in colonial constitutional monarchy Germany? What was their role in Southwest Africa genocide? And guess what you find in real history, real studies? You can look at those responsible, those involved. You find that the Jews of Germany before the Holocaust, leading up to World War I, so we're talking about 1884 all the way up to 1919, what were Jewish, and I mean 100% Jewish, in the Germany, what was their role and responsibility in the most horrific Southwest African genocides? Well, guess what their role was? Extreme, brutal, just as bad as the Nazi Germans against the Jews themselves post 1919 leading up to the Enabling Act. Folks, all the colonial countries you see, there were 7 colonial countries. I wrote a paper about it. I missed Japan. I missed it in its part of my paper. It was finishing a finish line. I didn't get into it, but more of Germany is the Jewish Germans' involvement in the absolute eradication of Southwest Africans. 80% of 2 historical tribes of Southwest Africa were completely wiped out by 100% Jewish Germans. When I say 100%, they're of Jewish descent, absolutely, mother and father Jewish. The German citizen was Jewish. The first class citizen and governor of Southwest Africa who committed the world's first, grossest, worst genocide. When I say that, I'm talking about, and this is going to get into 18 plus, where this governor, this Jewish governor of Southwest Africa, ordered bodies exhumed of Africans, where their skulls were studied, measured, brains measured, massive experiments done on Africans of those 2 tribes to justify the fact that they were not human beings. And it's all clearly fraudulent, clearly fiction, as what was done to the Jews in Germany there and after. But it began with Jewish Germans. You can look at the governor of Southwest Africa, what he did, what he went through, and he was 100% Jewish. When Germany and that colonial state didn't push that on the people. Now, folks, why I get into all this is the fact that no race in the world of the earth, of the human race, is immune to the ability to be the worst kind of horrific proliferators of genocide and crime. There's no other example, except for every human race of every religion and creed has participated in the ability to be the most evil. The first recorded experiments, the first recorded measuring of skulls and checking brains and doing all these human experiments was done by a Jewish of Germany during colonial Germany's aspirations in Africa. It was a race to see who would be the greatest colonizer in that state. And this is the reality, and this isn't shared. Now, what we're seeing today, what happened with Netherlands Prime Minister and his resignation over immigration. Netherlands is 17 million people. Canada is 40 million people. The rate of illegals that flood Netherlands, which is astronomical. It's unbelievable how many boats show up in colonial Netherlands aftermath. The reality is, disrupted family function here and everybody's back. They were doing a library. But the reality is that when we look at what the world is today and what's happening with all those colonized in historic wrongs from all 7 colonials, the massive immigration, illegal immigration of countries targeted, are all the biggest historical abusers and genocidal maniacs of what they deemed savage people. And now, in the bulk majority of the third world, they are targeting all those countries in historical wrongs. If you look at who's experiencing the most illegals, the most border crossers, the most boats landing on shores, they're all historic, massive colonials. This is the third world saying, you brought this mess to us, now we're dropping it off on your doorstep at unprecedented rates. Canada embraces it. Most of the empires of old with their current crowns in place are embracing it. Give us more and more, because then we can seek through the voting population restitution from our subjects, not from us, not from our companies, of which we've appointed so many of our family and friends. We're going to make the working slaves pay for it all. This is not New World Order, folks. This is Old World Order, pre-1945, pre-World War II. The truth is much stranger than the fiction, and if people take the time to look at it and do the analysis I've done in the highest institutions in the world with the real statistics, we'll find it. That's my video. Share. Bye now.